In their imaginations, human beings for a very long time have traveled in space. The first motion picture about space travel was produced in 1902. It is titled A Trip to the Moon. Our fixation with space began long before 1902. Long before Galileo made his telescope, human beings were looking up into the sky and wondering, what's up there? Writers, specifically science fiction writers like Arthur C. Clarke, gave us some ideas and clues about what might be up in space. Science fiction writers also gave us their imaginings about devices that might come in the future. And that future is right now. We have such a device, as predicted by all those sci-fi writers and television shows. Like this little handheld device. It's a communicator slash a computer slash a camera slash a navigation device slash, and it's a health data storage device, all rolled up into this little thing I hold in my hand, and you hold one too. During World War II, the space race was set into motion when Germany sent over those rockets that landed in England. Oh, the destruction! Not long after World War II ended, about 10 years, the space race began when Russia set up a satellite called Sputnik. The Americans got all shook up about this. Oh, we can't let those Ruskies beat us in the space race. Thus, the American space race began in earnest. You see, it's like this. Competition is a good thing. It pushes you to do more. So in 1958, the Americans sent up a few satellites and a moon rocket. Well, the moon rocket didn't quite make it. In 1959, Russia sends up 2 monkeys. In 1961, finally, human beings get into space. Russia sent up Yuri Gagarin, and the United States sent up Alan Shepard. In 1962, the President of the United States, John F. Kennedy, formally brought up the subject about space in the famous moonshot speech. He determined that human beings would land on the moon before the end of the decade. Hollywood was not to be let out of the space race. They produced many splendid movies like Catwomen on the Moon in 1953. In 1956, The World Without End and Forbidden Planet. Forbidden Planet is a classic. My personal favorite is Queen of Outer Space, starring Zsa Zsa Gabor. Well, you gotta admit it, Zsa Zsa sounded like she was from someplace else. The serious film in the sci-fi film series in the 50s was The Day the Earth Stood Still. That was a morality tale with an alien standing in for God and telling the Americans to cool it on the nukes. It wasn't only the movies that got us into the mood to join the space race. The automotive industry, it was not to be left out of the space race fun. After the war, the Americans were lucky. They didn't have ruined cities that they needed to dig out from under. So after the ink was dry on the treaties, the Americans went right back to work. The car factories that had been turned into tank, jeep, artillery, and airplane factories returned to making cars. The last Cadillac off the assembly line before America joined in the war effort was February 1942. The next Cadillac to come down the line was in October 1945. It signaled an era of prosperity like none other. Home builders began building those rows upon rows of look-alike houses so that families could have a home of their own. The vets got a break on their mortgages, so they lapped up those houses as fast as they were built. And what would they put in those garages? Rocket ships, of course. Welcome to the era of fins. Where did that fin idea come from? An airplane. The P-38 Lightning lit up the imaginations of the style designers at General Motors. The P-38's fins stirred the imagination of Frank Hershey, who was the head of GM's Special Products. It was he who led the others in giving the Caddy a more streamlined look. As the 1950s unfolded, fins went from subtle to prominent to outrageous by 1959. There were other innovations as well, like a wrap-around windshield. Other cars were not to be left behind. The 1958 DeSoto seems ready for takeoff. The 1961 Chrysler Imperial is imposing with those fins. The 1955 Dodge's fins are minuscule in comparison, but by 1959, Dodge had caught up. The 1959 Buick's fin is graceful geometry. But then chrome too became a thing. Buicks could not have enough chrome. Lincolns did not really get on the fin bandwagon. Lincolns were long with suggested fins. By the time the 60s rolled around, things began to shrink a bit as cars became sleek and presentable for the middle-class family. From 1945 to 1960, cars were losing that stodgy look. They became longer and they lost height as well. The sleek look was in, not only in cars, but in houses and clothing as well. Say, let's get over to Paris and see what's going on there in the house of Dior.